The cold silence of space only punctuates the feeling of death that emanates from this virtually lifeless planet. Only one thing is alive and well here. Evil. And it must be destroyed, decimated, exterminated. First, it must be found. Rated T for teen.
It's November. It's a new month. Time to replay one of my absolute goddamn favoriteest games ever. And as of, like, the past couple weeks, no longer my number one favorite Metroid game. But you know, being demoted to second place because of Dread is still pretty good. I love Metroid Prime. This is such a good video game. Just letting that title theme music just wash over you. And then, of course, you get the menu music. Alright. First things first. Check that. That's all good. I think that's fine. Yeah, I'll leave the hint system on. Why not? It was never that big of a problem for me. And... right, yeah, because I'm generally fine with how this game has always controlled as far as, like, inputs go, but... I don't know, I'm not a crazy person. I prefer, like, looking around in my first-person games to not have an inverted Y-axis, so we're reversing that right away. And swap beam controls, which I believe that was always a case of, like, swapping A and B and not, like, swapping your selection with the D-pad or C-stick. But that's fine how it is. Reversing the Y-axis aside, these controls are perfect for what this game is. Yeah, that all checks out. And yeah, it's on a fresh file, obviously, so surprise, I don't have heart to select from. Not that I'd really go for it. I think I've only ever done it once. And it was like, it's doable, but it's not how you want to play it. It just buffs the health on everything and makes fights take longer. There's hardly a fun way to go about this. Also feels really nice to be back to streaming a game that I don't have to worry is having weird performance issues as a result of running on the same PC as OBS. Thanks, Fear. Yeah, just back to console capture, a good old 480i, so that I can play this on a CRT, which is looking fantastic, by the way. Actually, I'm just sitting here thinking now, it's like, I can probably get a solid estimate. Yep, legendary game indeed, Gags. It sure is. But yeah, it's like, I've been thinking on the top of my head, it's like, I could probably get like a pretty solid estimate of how many times I've beaten Metroid Prime. But as far as times that I've just started it up to do whatever in it, I'm like, I probably lost track of how many times I've possibly played through this opening. Yeah, this was just like a mind-blowing start to it. And I was obviously like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I was younger than you at the time, but I recall my first memories of this being like, I think it was like at a sleepover with like some other kids that I knew, like when I was like partway through elementary school, and was like, this is one of the games that the person I was staying at, like, he had, and we just like had the lights off and we're all just like playing it and just in awe of the atmosphere. It's such a good start, and especially funny that kind of realize once you played like the series as a whole, realize that this is just like them doing an expanded take on the whole like series station prologue in Super Metroid. Okay. Yep. That's right. Just gotta do this. GameCube controls still work good. Yo, Wrath, cool to see you here, man. We got Wrath, we got Gags, we basically got most of the Eternal gang all here for Metroid. I guess that also makes us Dread Gang, actually. I just remembered. Oh yeah. Eternal gang, Dread Gang. The best gang. Absolutely. So yeah, and as like the... Do I like Prey for the gameplay or atmosphere, story stuff, or all of the above? Definitely all of the above. The gameplay, like, should be noted, though, that, like, it's not, like, going for the exact same things that something like Dishonored is, where, like, it's very hyperkinetic. Like, it's wanting you to just be, like, just a powerhouse in all aspects. The gameplay of Prey comes more from, like, taking advantage of, like, the limited tools you have and, like, the objects and other properties in the environment to work in your favor. That's, like, the best way to put it. You know, like, there's a reason that, like, it's basically like a System Shock type game and is basically the best that any of those have been in a long time. So, yeah. That's my take on it. I do hope you enjoy the game, though, Gags. Okay. See, I already got the parasite scan. So yeah, that's another thing that I'm doing is like I am aiming for 100%. I also know how long this game can take if I go so far as to scan every single icon that shows up when I have the scan visor on. I've done that in my free time. I'm not going to do that here for stream because I care about keeping a good pace. But I at least have, like, a good, like, cheat sheet order on hand as far as, like, keeping track of, like, what all the important scans are and what's the best time to get them. You know, like, this is as good a time as any to get a scan, for instance. Okay. Yep. Got a good old map. 3-dimensional. Another thing that just, like, always, like, wowed me about this, because it's, like, pretty sure other games I had played before that were, like, 3D, if they ever had a map screen, it was always from, like, a 2-dimensional top-down view. This was more like, nah, we're a 3D game. You get a 3D map. Yeah, flat-ass maps. A lot of good those are. Okay. It really is. And it's even more insane to kind of realize that, like, oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2016, like I remember that being like the comparison people were making, like seeing like weird Prime connections with Doom 2016. Like that was cool. But yeah, it's like this game's insane looking, even now, still. And, like, it's even crazier to think, like, how this entire game managed to pull through and come out the way it did, considering just what, like, the roughest start, like, the worst foot forward as far as, like, a studio in terms of management Retro was. Because I remember from years back, just everyone going all, like Retro Studios was, like, such a critical darling for people. And then just the, you mean the guy game guys? Oh god, yeah, it's just the worst, like studio culture that they had going for them. And that, like, Nintendo, we all know, like, when they care, their quality standards will pull through. It's like, they made the guy game, Retro did not. The people that worked at Retro that later got the boot went on to make the guy game. Yeah, it's a real dire, like drop in their career. But yeah, it's like Nintendo, when they care, they whip studios, whether it's their internally owned ones or their partners, into shape. And I can't think of any other studios that, like, got whipped into shape harder than Retro did during the time this game did. Yeah, like the people that left to form Armature. It's a shame it didn't really work out to, like, the same degree. At the very least, it's like Retro was left in a place where, like, because, like, to get in the mood of this game, like, I actually ended up just digging for, like, any, like, it started out as looking for old interviews with Retro Studios staff, just or whatever, just to kind of see what the interviews were like with them at the time when Prime was relevant, but also with, like, interviews with, like, ex-Retro devs after the fact, and noting that, like, yeah, this studio got turned around to, like, a really good studio. Yeah. This is a log talking all about the fall of Zebes, Because Samus Aran is a badass motherfucker who just kicked all these space pirates' teeth in. Two devs who were pretty bad prior ended up putting out something great, except for the time they got a good dev like Team Ninja, though that game has more problems. Yeah, and even then, I think, like, especially in hindsight, I still find that there's more than enough, like, reason to blame Team Ninja for it, because this was post-Itagaki Team Ninja. Like the early days where Hayashi was trying to fill in the big shoes left by the Oatmeal Cookie Man. Yeah, it came out right after 2, and it's for that reason where I feel like even if Team Ninja would have made, like, a more sensible game out of Metroid, I'm pretty sure, like, I do not doubt for a second that Hayashi was fully complicit in drinking the same Kool-Aid that Sakamoto was on. Like, there are, like, game-ruining decisions in Ninja Gaiden 3 that you look at and compare to Other M, and it's almost uncanny. God. Freaking Other M. I actually have a confession to make on that front. This past weekend, like, before streaming these games, I did go back and play Other M. Technically modded, because I discovered looking around that someone made, like a hack to try and, like, fix it, which I ended up calling, when I looked at it, the Razor's Edge edition of Other M. Which is to say, it's still a bad game. You know, that part doesn't change. But it's kind of funny to see how people, like, try to, like, find ways to change, like the absolute worst egregious parts of it, you know? Most of which was, like, the story. Like, that's always, like, the big sticking point. Yeah, the turd is now polished. It also, like, gave me a time to better, like, reevaluate, like, reevaluate and reconfirm, like, what my feelings were on that game's, like, controls and mechanics, because it's the sort of thing where, like, I've seen it all the time. Like, whenever it comes to, like, the big criticisms of Other M, the first that comes to everyone's mind that is most obvious and most correct is the story and characterization being the worst thing ever for the series. And then usually the follow-up from that is people going, the controls are the worst. And then the part that stems from that is them going, if they just made it so that you used a normal controller, it would have been good. Which, after watching, like, footage of it again after so many years and playing it, replaying it myself, no. Going to a controller with more buttons would not have fixed the problem. That game was dead set on using as little inputs as it could have. Even though it had went with the control scheme that had the smallest amount of buttons possible. And that's, like, the frustrating part, because I've described it as such. I found that there's no reason why, at the time, the idea of, like, a 3D action game, Metroid or otherwise, with something as simple as a Wii Remote on its side, like, there's no reason why that could not have worked. It just requires, like, actually smart thinking and maximizing of every, like, possible input on that controller. Yeah, and it's like, I would have been with him on that decision if his analogies at the time didn't just have the most obvious holes in them. For instance, the fact that he described it as such as, like, well, the Wii Remote on its side is like an NES controller, and that's all you needed to play Metroid originally. And it's like, yeah? Then why didn't you make it so that pressing the select button equivalent toggles the missiles? That immediately, like, puts it, like, into perspective that he did not, like, take as well advantage of that control setup as he thought he was going to. And that's actually something that, like, the hack that I had that I used for Other M for revisiting, that actually fixes it. It makes it so that if you press the B button on the remote, like, if you hold it down, it toggles missiles, and it makes it actually, like, a slightly more fluid experience. Not a good experience, but it at least makes some aspects of what they were trying to go for actually flow well. Especially because it had I'm pretty sure at the time what it had when I played it was, like, a very clear, like, exploit to it, where because of how super missiles work in that game, where you have to, like, do a charge beam, and while you hold it, press the missile button, which is what you normally do in, like, the aiming mode. But if you do a charge shot and hold the B button in, like, when it's on its side to toggle missiles, and then let go of the fire button, you just launch a super missile and you completely nuke every single combat encounter. It's kind of insane. It's like the most unbalanced shit that actually made that helped me a lot in just getting through that game again faster, so that I could be done and, like, finish my reassessment. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Like, there's room out there for a 3D Metroid that is third person and, like, accurately captures the spirit of, like, 2D Metroid movement in that space. Ultimately, it failed at everything to do with it outside of the traversal. If there's anything we learn about Sam's abilities in all the games before, it's that she always comes to a complete stop and carefully aims before firing a missile, and she hates pickups. I mean, yeah, the removing of all pickups is bullshit, but I think especially after Samus returns in Dread, like, the idea of standing in place to aim no longer seems far-fetched. Even the idea of, like, a 2D Metroid game where, like, melee is a component of it is no longer a stretch, because Dread made it work. Because, surprise, Dread is now one of the all-time GOATs that is up there with this game. It is fantastic. Oh, man. Like, I wish I was streaming Dread, obviously, but I want to also go through, like, the other 4 2D Metroid games before it, like, as a stream series, except I've gone over this multiple times. The problem I run into has to do with the, why does it keep closing? What the hell? It has more to do with the fact that, like, I want to stream those while playing them on a CRT, but 240p is a bitch to go for, like, streaming through a capture card. Still going to obsessively wait for Prime 4th, or, though, yeah. Obviously, like, the big thing about that is, like, I think before Dread, my expectations for Prime 4 is that, yeah, they restarted development, it's back with Retro. Hopefully it'll be, like, at least on the same base level of quality as these 3 games. But after Dread pushing forward 2D Metroids, I am like, Prime 4 needs to compete now. They need to do the same for this sub-series of games. Something that'll, like, push it forward on all fronts. But how they're gonna do that, I have no goddamn clue where they would even start. It is, yeah, and it's like, the main menu themes in all 3 games, I think, is like the number one, is like probably like the biggest argument you can make for why someone would want to play these versions over the Prime Trilogy collection. Because that collection does not have those main menu, like, they don't have those, like, title screens and main menus as they originally did with the music it came with. Okay. Now to kill this thing. And also, just another one of my favorite things about, like, what this game does and represents. Shows absolutely that, particularly for things in the console space, you do not need to design your first-person game the same way everything else is. Designing a first-person game around a lock-on mechanic is totally viable design. This and all of its sequels excel at that. Alright. And now we got the escape sequence.
Evacuate immediately. Evacuate immediately. Evacuate immediately.
I argue the hell and back that Metroid should be considered the FPS. Calling it anything implies that FPS has to be made X way and be about X stuff. Yeah, but like that's already like, I think even for the people that call this an FPS, there's some that still go out of their way to kind of like try and make it like feel more like what they think is the standard for the rest of the genre. Like it's the sort of thing where just because I every now and then see people talk about, like, I think it's called Prime Hack, which is like a hack for the Prime Trilogy collection on Dolphin to just make it have like actual mouse and keyboard support, which, you know, I guess like obviously that makes sense. Like if people want to like if people don't have the means to like hook up a Wii remote and nunchuck to your PC via Bluetooth. But I definitely think like whenever like people like say that and it gives the air of people going like, oh yes, they finally made this game play the way it was always meant to, and it's like the same as everything else, you fucking normie. Yeah, at the end of the day, this game and its sequels was all about like making it more of an action adventure. Like when you don't put the focus on needing to always like be doing precision aim for success, that gives you more room to like use the controls for other functions, particularly movement. You know? And obviously compared to like the 2D Metroids, movement in Prime is a clearly different beast. But it's but even then, movement is still important for this in the way that it is like specific to itself and unique to itself. I play with motion controls at this point, but I just think the structure is what separates it so much. Like, I'd love a Prime game with better combat and even better movement, but not at the expense of the Metroid-y stuff. I can understand that. Granted, I do think at the end of the day, like, as the game's gone on, they have like made strides in improving the combat. Like, this is it at its most basic and functional. Like, it's like it is no wonder that like me and like obviously many other people like in the past have always thought of this as like this is basically the 3D equivalent of Super Metroid, because combat in Super Metroid was definitely not its strong suit. It was just the thing that was like that just happened to be a part of it, while the rest of the game's focus was like more obvious. Okay. And even just thinking about the idea of like better combat and better movement, it's like I'm sure there's a way that like when they get around to showing Prime 4, hopefully that's something that they do take a consideration on while still keeping like the Metroid fundamentals. Because Dread absolutely did that. Dread is like a great Metroid game that on top of that, like I described it as such to you and Raph, like on Discord, that it is like a great feeling, simple 2D action game on top of being a Metroid game. Like, it's so good to the point where I kind of wish that there were modes in place so that I could do like a boss rush or something, you know? Something to like really let me to like experiment with those tools that you have like in a combat sense. Because they definitely give you a lot in terms of like how to experiment and sequence break in a movement sense, you know, in a traditional Metroid way. So if they're able to do like the Dread equivalent for Prime 4, I think that'll be a great 1-2 punch of this series finally coming back. Oh, and there we are, back to the normal suit. That boy's blocked. Come on, depressurize faster. Not like I'm low on time. I usually get out of here by the time that it hits around 3 minutes on the timer. It's just kind of how it goes. I played through this whole prologue section like so many times. I think part of why it's so memorable is how much love went into pretty much every part of the design. Controls, setting, 1,000 tiny extra details, etc. Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, it feels good when you play a game and you're not only enjoying it, but you can also, like, you're able to pick up on those details and realize that there was, like, a sense of pride and confidence from the developers. Like, that's a really good way of, like, knowing that, like, you're in for a good time. Whereas, like, it doesn't just feel like it's the game putting itself, like, forward on its best foot, but that you could also feel it through, like, there were people who came up with this, and that those people must be feeling as confident as the game that they are releasing. That's the thing that, like, brings it all together for me. You know? It's like why whenever you play, like, Devil May Cry 3 and you get, like, those that opening cutscene right before Mission 1, it is, like, screaming at you. It's like, you are in for one crazy time. Ah, yes. Talon Overworld, this game's criteria. Yeah, they were, yeah. Okay, yeah, actually, I guess sound off. Let's name drop how many games we can think of from that generation that all had very strong openings. You know, like, this does, DMC3 does, RE4 for sure. Let's see, trying to think what else. I'd say Onimusha 3 did as well, but I think part of that is mostly just carried by the killer opening cinematic. What does just got back? Games from, like, this generation of consoles that had really fantastic killer openings. You know? Yeah, MGS2 is, like, definitely a good one. Especially when you take into account the hindsight of, like, what the tanker was in relation to the rest of the game. Yeah, okay, good. I already had scanned the small energy. Yeah, and I mentioned Onimusha 3 largely just because I think it's like, I mean, obviously, like, that opening level's, like, pretty bombastic, but also I think part of that is, like, carried by the expectations of the CG cinematic before it, which is, like, really crazy for its time. Yes, so many games back then just, like, putting their best foot forward. It was like the most people out there that just had an idea that they needed to do a good first impression, and they managed to, like, nail it more often than not. Did their half cutscene already? They better be spectacular. Yeah. God, just even thinking about their opening cutscenes, it's like the Halo jump at the start of MGS3, especially with just the music accompanying it, is so strong. Yeah, opening cutscenes now are ice sleep. Very few just, like, get you into it. Yeah, that's, like, a very good point. Okay, yeah, I'd already gotten the Zemer. Okay. Opening level talk, there's a ton for 16-bit, yeah. Rondo of Blood, obviously. And Contra Hardcore. Games I played in the past on this stream and had an absolutely, like, awesome time. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I'm generally not a fan of Mega Man in general, but, like, I could definitely see, like, a lot of the love and appeal behind, the opening stage in Mega Man X. Definitely, that counts. It is, yeah. It's just, it really could have used a better person to drive that point home than freaking Ego Raptor, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, man. That is true, yeah. Yeah, just like so many shmups out there where, like, a lot of, like, the notable bosses are the ones you remember early on because you keep getting stuck. And then you have certain series in that genre like R-Type, where it's practically a tradition that every time you get to the third stage, you always have to fight a battleship, and it needs to be spectacular. You know? And sometimes that varies. Okay. Seismic disturbance at the ruin site. Let's see. Yep. Decent help system. More lore. Yeah, and the disc I have as well is like I believe it is still there it is. That's it. Prime 1 failed as a Metroid. It gives you hints. 0 out of 10. God, that part was all... That idea of a criticism for Metroid was always so goddamn overblown. But as I was saying, like, this disc I have is, like, the 1.0 version of Metroid Prime, so it does have, like, the older Chozo lore, which has a lot more of, like, a mystic, spiritual, like, tone to how it describes things. Which I know, like, some of, like, the wording on it, like, in the re-releases in Prime Trilogy... like kind of like change some of that, but I don't have a list of all the specific changes like off the top of my head. I just know that I like how it portrays like the Chozo and their backstory in this. Yeah, and it's yeah, I'd love to get lost more like in Super, but the only time it was egregious is like Fusion and Zero Mission, I'd say. Yeah. I think part of it for me, like, how I got over that quickly was realizing the thing that I kind of harped on a lot anytime I've played, like, a Metroid or Metroidvania, I guess, just because I played a whole bunch of the 2D handheld Igavanias earlier this year. It's the fact that, like... it's really hard to, like, make these games or claim that these games are so about exploration to the point that it makes you think they're non-linear, when really they're not. They're clearly designed, they have to be designed from the developer standpoint as being like a set sequence that you're expected to go in, so it's still a linear game. The difference that everyone keeps confusing it with is that, like, it's linear, it's just an implied linearity as opposed to it being a very explicit one, which is what Fusion's all about, with it like plainly telling you exactly where you need to go and putting an objective marker. And Gags is like, yeah, you know me, I'll always dunk on Halo for my own reasons. I won't deny that, like, I could definitely see the craft that went into, like, the opening level of Halo and how that's set up and, like, kind of adjusting it to like what its controls are. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I'm definitely, I definitely think there was, like, a point, like, earlier in life where I was just kind of ambivalent when it came to, like, text pop-ups for tutorializing, because it's, like, whatever, but I've ended up just, like, yeah, I'm definitely now, like, in the same camp of preferring to have as little to no of those as possible. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a good way of, like, describing a grunt. Yeah, and there's still no denying, obviously, that there's gonna be like a desire for, like, sequence breaking, because this is Metroid. But I don't think, obviously, that that should be treated as, like, the sole reason for a Metroid's existence. Yeah, and you have a good night, Gags. Yeah, go and enjoy Prey. Hopefully you'll see where I come from when I say that it's Arcane's best game. Okay. Scan these. Scan these war wasps. Alright. Cool. And then the hive. Pretty sure I'm still on track. Okay. We got a save station over here just to keep track of progress. Yeah. Such a good game. And its sequels are too. Even if at the time, whenever I think about them, I know I kind of come off as, like, extremely critical of something like, say, Echoes. But it's still a good game, and I am looking forward to checking it out again once I finish this playthrough, you know? It's just that I know that I have, like, specific gripes with it that come more from the, not necessarily from a point of, like, I hate this on a conceptual level. I wish it was, like, something else. Like, I wish I was like this other game. It's not like that. It's more like, I get what they're going for. I wish they went about it in a different way that still, like, reached the same end goals as what they were going for. And yeah, I know what you're just gonna say, Raph. It's the Majora's Mask of Metroid. And I wish I could agree with that, except for the part where... This is gonna sound petty for me, but it's like, I like Majora's Mask. So clearly that analogy doesn't work for me, because that would imply that I like it as much. But no, I get it. It's obviously, like, changing things up so that it's not just doing Super Metroid in 3D again, you know? That's expected. But I just wish they kind of approached some things about trying to create that oppressive atmosphere, like, a bit differently. And may or may not, I don't know, because the other big contention for me has always been, like, the light world, dark world stuff. Because I was actually thinking about it again, kind of in the lead up to streaming this game, and trying to figure out again, without necessarily playing, because obviously I'm going to play through Prime 2 eventually. It is just more the issue of, like, why do I have as many problems with Prime 1 as I do? Not Prime 1, with Prime 2 as I do. And I think just, like, the two big ones for me are always that I don't think stacking two nearly identical Metroid-style maps on top of each other and swapping between them makes for good navigational flow. I'd played that, and I'd played Harmony of Dissonance, that the second GBA Castlevania, and that game I felt I was running into the exact same problems I had with Echoes when I played it way back, where it was like, I feel like I need a map and, like, directions at all times, because this gets real confusing real bad. But the other part I think about it was just the, I really don't think there's, let's see, what else to put? Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot to scan these two things in here. But I think just a big part of it that breaks down for me is how... So, like, you go into the Dark World in Dark Aether, starting out. The way they try and, like, sell that it's a very oppressive, dangerous, hostile world is that you step outside of, like, the light safety zones, you take damage. Even with the context it tries to give you of it being an alternate world that is, like, very deliberately, like, hostile to, like, creatures of, like, the opposing world, I can't help but still look at it as being forced to go through, like a lava room in Norfair without the various suit. Like, I know we harped on it before, and, like, I'm gonna use this as a comparison. You can see where it's going. I'm sure you have a ton of, well, to be fair, qualifiers, but it's still the same to me. Other M made you do it in the Pyrosphere. Being forced to run through an area that is constantly damaging your health before you get the thing that protects you from it in a game like Metroid, or Metroid-likes, fucking sucks. It just does not work for me. I feel there are other interesting ways they could go about trying to, like, convey that hostility when going through Dark Aether without literally sapping your health for half the game. You know? Like, still have the safe spots, but maybe have it be something where it's like, when you're no longer in the safe zones, like, you could make enemies, like coming in from everywhere onto your position and homing in on you. Yeah, or something where it's like, I don't know, maybe just playing more into, like, the subtitles, the subtitle of the game, which is echoes, and, like, the fact that you even have an echo visor, as it's called, but just, like, have sound play a factor in it. Imagine what it would be like if it was like, if Metroid Prime 2 had something like a working sound propagation system that you could manipulate to create your own safe spots or whatever from enemies, because you're in an area where, like, they can just easily sniff you out because you don't belong there. That, I think, is that's like a more interesting one, even way to go about it, even though I totally can understand, like, why they probably did not have the resources to do that, considering they made that game in less than 2 years. And the whole point of the Light World, Dark World angle was that they wanted to create a set amount of assets and have an excuse to use them twice, which is totally valid when done right. It's just most people don't always do it very well. I think the one aspect about it where it felt like it did well for them was because when it came to, like, the best area of that game, which is Sanctuary Fortress, like, it and its dark counterpart Inghive are, like, amazing. Not just in terms of, like, their like visual motif, but the fact that, like, they have very significant visual differences going between worlds, as opposed to Aegon and Torvus, where it feels a lot like we just slapped a bunch of, like, dark purples and blacks over everything. That's always kind of what bums me out. And it's a shame, too, because outside of, like, those major complaints, Prime 2 still has some amazing stuff. It still has good weapons. The bosses are a huge step up from this. Like, I still remember how, like, a lot of, like, how to, like, do these bosses just because they're that simple already. Okay, boys, do we move on to spamming Where's Prime 4 like we did Bayo 3, or do we just wait as they had the foresight to tell us? I'd say we can wait. Oh no, get out. Oh, shit. Are you, oh. Yeah, this is what happens when I'm talking so much while playing this game. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, Torva's Bog is, like, music aside, going through that area is, like, the biggest slog, it feels like, out of all the areas. Just shame, too, because, like, that is the first, like, basically the first time since Super Metroid that they reused Meridia's, like, soundtrack. And, like, that was always such a great moody track from that game. And I think for me, it's like, and it's funny too, Grunt, that you brought up, like, the matter of, like, the ammo upgrades. So, like, just the beam ammo concept in general. It's like, it does feel especially weird for that to be a thing, just because, like, it's energy beams. They're not something that is, like, very physical like the missiles, so they would have a finite amount, especially for balance purposes. But I think that's another aspect of Prime 2 where it's like, I like the concept that they're trying to go for with that, but I feel that there's, like, another way that they could go about making that better. Mainly I think just changing the way, like, it approaches the concept of, like, it being ammo, but makes it so that instead of being reliant on just, like, doing, like, pickups, this is something that I've thought about, like, for my own game concepts in the past, but it's the idea of, like, an ammo ratio system. Like, Basically, to describe what I mean by ratio, the idea is to have it be something where it's like, taking the light and dark ammo, for instance, there are clearly two resources, and there's like they're clearly tied to each other. The way Prime 2 implements it is that, like, if you kill enemies with one weapon, it gives you, I believe it's, I forget if it's I think it's opposite ammo for the other. And I think the way I would describe, like, an ideal ammo ratio system is one where it's like, your weapons that are on this ratio ideally have infinite ammo. It's just that the more you use it, the more the power diminishes, but the power on the opposite weapon you don't use would get stronger. That's the idea behind it, and I feel like that's an idea that I would have liked to have seen them come up with for Prime 2's, like, beam ammo mechanics. That'd be a more interesting way, I feel, for me to kind of go about it and not be so reliant on the idea of, like, needing to pick up ammo from enemies you kill and making sure that you kill them with the specific, just like using the specific weapon you need so that you can get enough ammo for the weapon you actually need for this upcoming section. It'd just be a lot more like, it would be a lot less punitive of a system, because in a traditional ammo system, it's like when you run out, that's it. You are out. You can't use that anymore. And once you get used to killing stuff regularly for refills and get an ammo max upgrade or two, suddenly it's a different system. Yeah. For sure. It's all kinds of stuff that we've done. But at the same time, can't really, like, as I've been saying, can't discount the things that Prime 2 does really well. You know? It's got some standout areas, some great atmosphere. Bosses are, like, I was about to say the best of the series, but then I remembered some of the bosses that are in Prime 3, and I'm like, it's probably like a toss-up between the two. But they do go for, like, admittedly, fairly different things, just because it's like, you know, Prime 2 wasn't designed around motion controls and IR pointers. Prime 3 was. So that's clearly, like, resulting in a different set of priorities, but they're both very involved bosses in design. So I'm curious. So that's another thing that I'm excited about revisiting Prime 2, is to experience those bosses again, and then go into Prime 3 immediately after and have, like, a better way of figuring out, okay, which game actually has the best bosses between those two? Because Prime 1's is still the weakest. Many of Prime's bosses have been memorable, although rarely for being good. I'd say that more is like a accurate statement, again, for this game specifically. Because they have really good visual designs, but the way you engage with them and their patterns are, like, so very much like devs' first attempt at boss fights. Prime 2 and 3, by comparison, they do a lot instead to actually, like, make use of all your mechanics beyond just the act of, like, lock-on aiming, strafing, and shooting. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like, it's definitely a weird way to put it as a failure these days, considering, like, Prime 1's main strength is that it used Super Metroid as the template and did a great job at it. That much is certain. And it's like, yeah, 2 and 3 may have faults, but the fact that they go for different things still, like, helps a lot in making this trilogy amazing, because it's like, think about that. What game trilogies can you point to that not only have, like, all their games at a consistently, like, high quality bar, but they also manage to not feel like the exact same to each other? Yeah, funny that 2D Metroid got to be like a sweet action game before the supposed character action Metroid. Yeah. It's weird how Other M, in so many of its ill-advised ideas, somehow still paved the way for the more action, for, like, the Nightmare Heart. Oh, you're talking about for Prey. and just go whatever. I'd say the one thing is, like, Nightmare will definitely push you to use the most of all your resources in Prey. The one thing I would recommend not doing on a first playthrough is, like, activating the survival modifiers. Those should only be done once you've gotten the, like, acclimated to, like, the base mechanics of the game. That's how I do it, so yeah. Yeah, that should be good. Awesome. Actually, hold on. Shit, did I just forget to scan the hype totem? Oh my... Hold on. I'm an idiot. God. I'm having such a good time talking about Metroid stuff with all you guys. But at the same time, I'm like, I am losing so much track of the stuff I'm trying to do to get 100% on this game. It's ultimately Sakamoto finally filtered his ideas well again after a decade almost of ruminating and seemingly understanding where he went wrong. Or they finally stuck it with some editors. It could be a bit of column A, column B. I feel like I would not be surprised if in the long run, the idea of, like, of Nintendo collaborating with Mercury Steam, of all people, to work on Metroid, I'm pretty sure that decision was probably from someone else who wasn't Sakamoto, and it was probably some big ploy to get this mid-tier at best studio responsible for ruining Castlevania together with the guy who had, at the time, made the death knell of the Metroid franchise. Getting them together, and presumably for the purpose of just sobering them up. And it clearly worked over the course of 2 games. Because Samus Returns wasn't all the way there, but it was a good first step. And Dread finally delivered on that, and they're like, okay, they know what they need to do for this series. They know what they need to, like, impress people with. Like they don't need to, like, go back down the same dark road they did of just a singular bad ideas man with no editors. Okay. Oh. Okay, come on. Like, unlike Lucas, he has to engage with criticism. Yeah, and it's clear that he did. Like, though I feel like if it wasn't from, like, fans specifically, because considering how venomous people can get when they get something they really don't like, that could be a bit hard. But surely it had to have been, like, critiques coming from, like, people on the dev team that were, like, reflecting on it and being all like, no, seriously, this was just a bad call on multiple levels. There we go. I kept forgetting to scan that large energy. Okay. Doing this again, but now gonna make sure that I actually scan the enemies properly so that it counts in the logbook. This time. This time shall be different! Ha ha! And then I proceed to fall in the acid and die, and I just go, it's not different at all! Is it, Steve? Oh, man. Hold on, wait a second. Is this not... I did, yes. I did remember to scan the Parasite Queen. In fact, I'm actually just going to double check the logbook to make sure. Mostly just for the, yeah, Parasite, Scarab, Zoomer, Auto Turret, War Wasp. Although, I'm trying to forget. I forget, actually. It's like the... Is the Hive Mech is supposed to be something I scan before triggering the fight somehow. Metroid fans aren't exactly silent. They definitely are not. Okay, so I got Ram, War Wasp, Hive. Huh, that's weird. God damn it, do I have to, like... I swear I... Unless I'm scanning, like, the wrong... Oh, no, the scan prompt was down there. Right, I forgot. That is, like, the worst place to put that. Because, like, what reason during this fight do you have to, like, aim downward? Okay, but now we're set. We can actually... Yeah, we can finish this fight proper. This time will indeed be different. Yeah, but I also have to imagine that even Japanese Metroid fans are not, like... I'm pretty sure that they aren't, like, so gone in the head that that they thought Other M was great. I'm pretty sure I've seen somewhere people even looking at, translating, like, Japanese message board forums and being like, yeah, this writing in Other M is extremely childish. So yeah, I've generally learned over time, because I feel it's very easy to, like, perceive, like, Japanese audiences, like, being, like, having such different perceptions on the internet compared to everyone else because of how, you know, they have their own versions of things on the internet that are for them. But at the same time, like, if one thing could be counted on, especially in the context of, like, internet discourse, like, shit-talking and shitpost transcends language. Yeah, seeing as Metroid's mostly survives on its Western fan base and I can read English, I'm mostly going off of that. That's true. And yeah, that is right. God, I remember that series of tweets that was shared of, like, some Japanese player like TGS playing a demo of the remake and being like, this is all wrong. Here's how everything got screwed up. Just so, like, yeah. It was a warning for everyone, even though most didn't realize it until it was too late. God, that game. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, that was confirmed. Like, I think the first time anyone at Nintendo in Japan actually realized that the name Bounty Hunter was something they were using incorrectly was during the development of Prime 3, because, surprise, Retro, a Western studio, actually knew what bounty hunting was, and were like, yeah, we want to have this as, like, the concept for a gameplay loop in Metroid. And it's like, what? Why? It's like, but this is what a bounty hunter does. And they're like, that's what they do? Oh, no. Oh, no, pull back. No, she's just a hunter, I guess. Fuck it. It's real silly. And the fact that that still persists, even now, is even more telling. They also seemingly accepted their mistake and now included it. Kind of. I think I only can believe that in the context of they understand that a bounty hunter does things for money, so I think that's all they acknowledged. I don't think they necessarily still understand the idea of what bounty hunting normally is. The only change they made is that they accepted that Samus is clearly someone who is on a payroll. A payroll that is like someone that is telling her to do this stuff that is otherwise mercenary work. You know? That's basically what it is. They're basically, yeah, they're military freelancers, essentially. Mercenaries is like the more accurate term. Okay, so we got the energy tank and our first missiles. missile ammo and all that. Stop trying to make Morph Ball happen. It's not gonna happen. I keep forgetting, man. Oh, man. Yeah. Mercenaries are just bounty hunters who get paid more. Don't at me. Alright. So we got the missiles. Now we can go back and start opening up more of those missile doors. Alright. I've always loved how this and, like, a few of the other rooms are, like, they do a good job of conveying that these are clearly ruined because they are no longer resting firmly on their foundation. Like, they're tilted over. And you cleanse the poison. Doesn't that make you feel good? Yeah. Too bad there's still a deeper poison underneath, and that's Phazon. It's blue and sticky. Okay. Don't forget about Super Phazon. God, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so... yeah, just still checking the map as well. Yep. And then I'll head back out and blow up in the wall that has the missile. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Samus's fucked up DNA is one of the funniest and legit one of the favorite parts of the series. Yeah, it's like, I think there was like a little fan art I saw that went around where it was like Samus receiving a letter, and it's like, oh boy, I wonder what this is. And then she opens it, and the text is just, seriously, what the fuck are you? Yeah, it's like, no, it's like she's human, part Metroid, temporarily part Phazon, but that eventually went away, and 2 types of Chozo. Like, she's just a walking petri dish. It's the best. Oh, God bless Samus. And also, like, especially with, like, if her characterization in Dread is anything to go by, I am absolutely hopeful it will continue even in something like Prime 4, where it's like, she's a stone-cold professional, not necessarily like a Doom guy, but... whereas Doom Guy is, like ruthless and, like, in a way that he is perpetually angry, like, too angry to die. Like, Samus, by comparison, is, like, she knows that she is getting a paycheck by the end of this, and she just wants it done with and has no time for anyone's bullshit. That's, like, that's the best. Yo, got that Metroid heroin! Oh yeah, I should definitely save. Okay. Alright, back through this tunnel. There we go. Oh yeah, these scarabs just coming right out from behind the corner. Whatever, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, we can't get up there yet. Alright. You have a good day, Wrath. Get your food. Get fed. I'll still be here, making progress. Samus needs to get in a non-reaction off competition with Gordon Freeman. Oh, yes. Just get all the silent pro tag warriors together. Just see how well they last trying to not break the ice. Or just communicate non-verbally. That's probably just as viable. Okay, Ruin Shrine access. We are absolutely on track. Okay. Right, this place. I'd say Isaac from Dead Space, but that dude is a loony. Yeah, and he also... And also, that first game was the only time that he was actually a silent protagonist. That's just... didn't last long. Admittedly, though, him obviously kind of going crazy because of the events of the first game did kind of work in his favor when it came to, like, them actually giving him a voice in 2. But that's also helped by the fact that 2 is actually a decent game. Unlike 3. We don't talk about 3. There's a lot of games from that generation where the third game we're just better off not talking about. Yeah, just get Gordon Freeman, Doom Guy, and Samus in the same room and just kind of see how they try and communicate. I'd be down for that. Alright, here we go. Now for the mini-boss. Plated Beetle. Got it. Come on, charge at me. Oh, yeah. I so love that, like, as part of the lock-on for these games, they made, like, an intuitive sidestep feature that's just layered on top of your regular jump button. This is, like, such a good addition for, like, making the combat, when it's in first person, like, have its own unique flair to it. Makes me hopeful that they also are able to come up with, like, other really cool, like, mobility additions for Prime 4. Because, you know, with the Switch controls, that's obviously, like, more buttons to work with. Well, slightly more, I guess. It's technically about the same as a GameCube controller. It's just an extra shoulder button, and you can click in both sticks, so I guess that's something. Anyway, we're now a ball. Yay for us. Oh yeah, and that's sandstone, which obviously we cannot get through without a morph ball bomb. Also, stop trying to make morph ball bombs happen. They're not gonna happen. They'll happen eventually, man. One of these days. Yeah, see, for me, it's like I do like the free aim lock-on system of Metroid Prime 3. But that's specifically, like, in the context of 3 itself, because it, like, designs itself well around it, you know? Prime 1 and 2 weren't really designed around it, so it's the sort of thing where I definitely find that, like, in the case of the first 2 games, I do prefer, like, the GameCube control and method of lock-on. I'm definitely more fond of that, especially because I found that, like, weirdly enough, in Prime Trilogy, I feel that using the free aim lock-on function in 1 and 2 ends up being more of a liability because of how there's no incentive to try and aim at, like, do locational body damage in this game or 2. So there's no point in having the cursor still be able to move around while locked on. Prime 3, though, it makes a ton of sense for it, and it works well for it. But yeah, I guess that's the big thing that I'm most wondering about, like, what they're gonna do. Like, what method of control will they go with for Prime 4? Are they gonna go back to this? Are they gonna try and, like, make the free aim lock-on concept work with, like, with analog sticks? Are they just gonna cop out and go for a traditional dual analog control method like every other, like, first-person game does these days? And thus make it kind of boring? Who knows? I hope they ultimately make the right decision. I don't doubt Retro's ability to do well on, like, recreating everything else that made the Prime games memorable. Just how it controls and feels is going to be, like, a big deciding factor now that, like, it's going to be... What, we're already, like, 14 years removed from Prime 3. And it will be even more by the time that game comes out. It's going to be a turn-based, top-down, tactical roguelike game. Hey, I mean, it'll be... That's way different. But at least we can say it will still probably turn out better than when they tried to make Other M and how different, in air quotes, that was. Oh, man. You know, normally you would think it would be kind of a bad thing to, like, keep bringing up Other M even when we're in a... Even though we're clearly now past when that game was considered the last in the series. But by the same token, it's like, now that we know that, like, we finally got past that and got good games again in this series, we can kind of look back on it with, like, less rage, I guess. And more just a more critical academic way of just looking at, yes, this was clearly a mistake. This is where they went wrong. We are proud as a species to have finally learned from this and realized to never do this again. Yeah. That would have helped it somewhat. I mean, even as someone who is, like, I've already obviously gone on my own rants before about, like, my feelings of, like, unique controls and why it's worth going for those, even when they come off on first glance as, like, esoteric and weird. Like, even then, I still wish that part, which was the biggest appeal to me in, on a conceptual level, it still wasn't up to snuff, so I can't really give it the leeway I want. Oh, well. Hopefully somewhere down the line they'll have it in them to just make a third-person 3D Metroid as like as another attempt, but more sane this time. That day will probably not come for a long while because we still need to get Prime 4 out the door and hopefully be just as amazing as all the other great games before it. Okay, Arboretum. If I recall... Maybe it's not... Oh, wait. No, yeah, it's... Oh, yeah, this... I'm remembering now. We got a scan coming up that is extra tricky if you move. You could screw it up for yourself so bad if you just move forward too quickly. It's these freaking shriek bats. There. We got them scanned. Now we do not need to worry about those specific ones ever again. Okay, Reaper Vine. That's in the logbook. Yeah. This is still a pretty cool area. Like, obviously, like, the Frigate Orpheon is still, like, burned into my brain as far as, like, how it feels like with the opening of this game. But I do very much appreciate just, like, how how well designed, like, the Chozo ruins are. Both, like, in your first visit and also subsequent visits, because it is the one that I feel has, like, the most intricacies in terms of, like, how you can enter it. And, like, your first visit does a really good job of leading you around to, like, get your essential power-ups back. And, like, and have some really fantastic-looking rooms in the process, like that big Arboretum. I believe it's called. Yeah, Arboretum was what it's called. It's very good. Okay. Another save. Oh yeah, and this would be your second spot if you wanted to get another scan of the Shriek Bats, but it's crazy. Like, as soon as you proc them, it's like really difficult to actually get a scan off, because by the time that the scan's almost complete, they've collided with you. Kind of frustrating like that. Okay. Right, I need to take the upper door on here, I believe. Less said about Ice Shriek Bats, the better. Oh, God, don't remind me. See, this is all the more reason why I'm glad I have that 100% logbook cheat sheet on hand as far as, like, where to get the scans at the best possible time. Because, man, it's like... Because, like, 100% item completion, that's no big deal. These games know that you should never be able to lock yourself out of getting an upgrade item. That part's always going to be easy. Getting 100% like logbook scans is always going to be like the biggest pain in the ass, because it's like good job. Not only do you have to remember to switch to the scan visor constantly to find the right things you need to add to the logbook, but some of those things only last for specific moments of the game. So if you missed it the first time, tough shit. Oh, man. Okay. East Atrium, yeah. There we go. Alright, now we're in Energy Core. Nothing we can get right here, so we just need to go to, like, the... I think it's called Burn... Yeah, it's called the Burn Dome. Still better than getting all the Figments and Psychonauts or random Ghost Shots and Fatal Frame. Oh, yeah. Admittedly, I've not played Fatal Frame just because, like, it's... I think as far as, like, survival horror goes, that might be a bit too much for me. I definitely did not go for all the Figments and Psychonauts. I definitely held myself off from ever wanting to do that. Yeah. I'm generally down for, like, when it comes to, like, getting all collectibles in the game. It's just, there needs to be a reasonable amount, and they need to avoid doing the dick move of like, collectibles that you can permanently miss. That's always the worst when that happens. Alright, now for this mini-boss. Incinerator drone. Oh, yeah. There we go. Starting to burn the nest. And we got the Barbed War Wasp. Now we can just take care of all these. Ooh, yeah. Come on. There we go. Okay. Just wasn't colliding. Ah. There we go. Yeah, burn these bugs. Burn them. Okay. Got it. Nice. And there it is. Morph ball bomb. Now we can absolutely make the bombs happen. I'm impressed by your ratcheting up the difficulty of this fight by face-tanking every wasp and flame. I mean, I would probably be trying to preserve my health a bit more if I didn't have this extra E-tank. That's probably it. Okay, there we go. More missiles. You can never have enough missiles. Ever. Even if all you get at the end of a very long puzzle is 5 more missiles, those are missiles you are grateful for. Because they're always useful. Alright. Now we just gotta head back to the energy core. Yeah. Yeah, I think overall, like, after the initial screw-ups with, like, forgetting to scan some things and, like, first dive at, like, the hive totem of all things. Stop trying to make 20 missiles happen. They're not gonna happen. I'm surprised that's what you went for of all things. I thought you were gonna be something like stop trying to make boost ball happen. They're not gonna happen. But I appreciate this running gag. Keep it up, man. It's good entertainment. Either way, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to like make good progress. That like during this first stream, I'm gonna kick Flagra's ass and get the various suits. Stone Toad. I love how these dudes look. They're just completely docile until you roll up into their mouth because they think that looks yummy, and then you kill them for it. You heartless bastard. Yeah. And it's like, kill so many of them, even though it's like, I'm pretty sure you kill upwards of like, I don't know, maybe 5, I think? Either way, it's like, why you gotta do that to them? They're just chilling, they're not trying to kill you. I think it would be nicer if it was like, you rolled into their mouths and then they shot you somewhere. I think that would like make them more appreciated. Because they're actually helping you then. Alright. Now for this puzzle. Okay. Good old Morph Ball. It's fun to roll around in this thing. And you know what's also really nice about this thing? Is that in all 3 games, when in Morph Ball mode, they don't use the C-stick for, like, camera control, but it's perfectly fine because the camera actually, surprisingly, does its job well. Like, think about that. Like, I was actually thinking about it from because of, like, some of the interviews I was, like, catching up on with, like, old Retro Studios devs. One of them was talking about, like, the person that, like, programmed the camera system for the Morph Ball. And it's like, basically the way it works is that it is like the most high-level prioritization of making sure that at like 99% of the time, ideally 100%, that you as the Morph Ball is always on screen. That nothing is going to like obstruct your view of where Samus is. Like, I forget the name of the dude. I think it was a guy that was like a really strong like programmer designer at Retro who had passed away several years ago from like pancreatic cancer or something. It was like very tragic way to go. But like hearing how it was done that way, especially like in the context of, I think he was like talking about it in terms of like how it worked during the fight with Quadraxis, is like it's amazing that it manages to work so well as being like, it's a camera system in a 3D game that perfectly keeps track of where you are without the need to manually adjust the camera with like a right analog stick. That's crazy to think about. Especially when every other game out there that's 3D just has camera control on the right stick because, you know, that obviously makes sense. But it's obviously like, it highlights in some ways that the idea of manual camera control in some cases, the way it's used is more like a band-aid to get around the fact that that most developers can't program a good automatic camera angle system in their own right. Yeah, they get it right so well out out the gate, and it continues to be good across all three games. And it's like, and also like the way I'm trying to remember, like I think even like, yeah, because it was in Prime 1, but in Prime 2, they introduced the idea of combining Boost Ball with Spider Ball so that you could launch yourself perpendicular from a Spider Ball track that you're attached to. Like, that was like an amazing addition to that made Morph Ball puzzles in this trilogy even more enjoyable. I love it. Feels so good. I can kind of get why like so many devs don't normally go for for trying to like make the camera work automatically without player input, but I at the same time still think that like there's clearly room somewhere to actually make that work. It's just because of how complicated game development has gone at this point, no one really wants to waste the resources on it. They just want to kind of stick with what works. Understandable, but still kind of unfortunate. It is what it is. Oh no, I was completely not looking down. Oh well, it's fine. All right. There we go, Watery Hall access, in which we are absolutely going to make 20 missiles happen. Save? Oh, See, that might be a good point. I'm not sure. I forget if there is like a Okay, actually looking again at the cheat sheet that I have, I don't think there's like a new save room coming up soon, so yeah, we'll just stop by here to make sure. Because we're only several rooms away, I think, from when we finally are going to be able to fight Flagra. But yeah, thanks for the reminder. I try to remind myself often to save frequently in games that I play on stream. Ironically, I think whenever I have an audience that's actually like watching and chatting and all that, it makes me forget that I should be saving. I think when I'm streaming and it's very clear that it's just by myself, I'm gonna either I'll still save or I'll just plow through it because, surprise, it's not that hard. Yeah, it should work that, I clearly will not die to Flagra. That would be insane. Okay. Now we're in the Watery Hall, where we will eventually get Charge Beam after we scan these four sigils on the wall that open up a gate. Hopefully it doesn't take me long to actually find them, because I recall, like, every time I play this game, I end up in a situation where I forget where the last one is, and it's always a different, insignia. Okay. Well, at least I got the second one there. There's the third one, underneath all these blast caps. Yeah, and I believe the fourth one should be up top, like on the second floor. There we go. Yep. Hey, what do you know? I totally did not have a brain fart and forget where one of these four are. I actually got them right. Sweet. And some more Chozo lore. Yeah, perceiving all this beyond space and time. Just, God, is there nothing that the Chozo can do, like, when they're clearly able to perceive things, like in ways that, like, other races in this universe clearly cannot, like, on a metaphysical level. It's insane. And to think that so many of them went extinct, except for the ones that were clearly part of a warrior tribe. Funny how that works out. Hey, Charge Beam. Yeah, we'll go through here. I'm pretty sure this leads to, like, the dynamo. Yeah. Which has another missile tank for us. Can never have enough of those. No, sir. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, and also just thinking about, like, all the stuff we'll get, again, when I play this game. With all the upgrades, all the different places we go to. I also just remembered, I am very much looking forward to getting those Charge Beam combos again. Because I remember those being, like, a lot of fun. And the fact that they feel like a better realization of, like, the beam combo moves that you had in Super Metroid. You know, the moves that most people completely didn't even realize were in the game because the way you even activated them was so esoteric and bizarre. You ever heard about those, Grunt? Like the beam combos in Super Metroid, where if you disable all your beams except for charge and one of the other four, highlight power bomb, and then do a charge shot, you get like a weird like spiraling effect of like different projectiles that surround Samus in different patterns. You can get enlightened, or you can learn the laser sword uppercut. Pick one. I mean, laser sword uppercut does seem pretty rad. Among many of the other things. That's a thing? Yeah, it totally is. Like I shit you not, I only learned about this like several weeks ago because I was actually watching a stream of like people playing through the 2D Metroid games in the lead up to Dread, and like their chat was describing to them all this other weird hidden stuff in Super Metroid that I didn't even know existed. And like those beam combos were one of them, and the other that I recall seeing mentioned in that was something called the Crystal Flash, where the idea is that if you have less than 50 health but you have at least 10 power bombs, 10 super missiles, and 10 regular missiles. You go into Morph Ball, hold both aim buttons, lay a power bomb while still holding the fire button and down on the D-pad. You set off a power bomb, and if you're doing that and the explosion ends, what happens is that you then see Samus like floating in an aura of light, curled in a fetal position, and then she regains all her health while expending at least 10 missiles. What the fuck, Japan? Stop hiding cool stuff in your video games. Yeah, it's weird too, because it is the weirdest esoteric hidden mechanics possible that never show up again. Or if they do, no one realizes that they actually originated from something else because they were that hidden from everyone else, unless you had a strategy guide. It's ridiculous. It's cool, and it kind of further cements part of the reason why I like Super Metroid so much. But at the same time, if it made someone, if it caused someone to be turned off from the game because they were slighted by it being hidden from them of all things, then I would not blame them as well, because that is insane. The only downside, though, to the beam combos that I described in Super Metroid is that because of the way you activate them and their various effects, they're not very practical to use. So you might as well not even think that they exist to begin with. But we sure do. Clearly, Nintendo Power is still needed. Actually, no, never mind. We're in the Dark Souls generation. What we clearly need is just an in-game message system where people can just share that info cryptically. Actually, no, screw that. We don't need that for every single game. That's good enough for Souls. Jesus Christ. I kind of felt disgusted with myself when I was making that joke. I clearly knew what the point was that I was trying to make with that, but at the same time, it's I get that it's influential. I don't need it to be influencing everything else when it's clearly not needed. Try jumping? But this is the 30th straight lava pit with that message. Yeah. And then you get some that are just they all say need humanity because people are just beggars on the internet. It took me a long time to actually understand why I was seeing that message so much when I played Dark Souls. And when I realized it, it actually made me hate the player base more. That was a thing because of the whole idea that if someone upvotes your message or whatever, that gives you an extra point of humanity. And it's that's how you get it back? Seriously? Even after all this time where I played that game in a way that was so deliberate as to focus on not relying on other people for help in those ways. So it was man, that's dumb. Having people that you summon in to help you with a boss, that's fine. I get that. That's at least a more active involvement of all parties involved. But just the rating messages to give you humanity, and the fact that it led to people so clearly leaving those as a way to beg for it because they're not good at because they don't learn to conserve their humanity consumables or whatever. It's weird. God, that is the best way to describe it. Need humanity. So, congratulations. You made me lose my you made me lose faith in your humanity. Good job. Oh, man. And I say all this, and I don't even like Dark Souls 1 that much. I prefer Demon Souls and Bloodborne way more, but it's but even then, those aren't necessarily games that I find myself, replaying nearly as much as, other stuff that are, as some of my favorite games ever, you know? Alright. I'm actually just wanting to double check to make sure that I'm up to date on things. Okay, I already had Tangleweed, but did I get Venomweed? I'm pretty sure I did. Or not. Hold on. I thought for sure I had scanned the Venomweed from up here. I don't want to jump down there, obviously. So, not from that angle. So, oh yeah, okay, never mind. I did. You'll be back through here anyway. True. But I'd like to avoid the chance that I would possibly forget it on the second run through, you know? Oh well. But that's good. That was just the one thing left that we actually needed to scan in here. So now we can... Pretty sure, yeah, we can just head on over to Flagra. Oh wait, never mind. They just have some over here. I'm an idiot. Duh. And more of these dumb vines. Yeah, Reaper vines. Okay, then. Yep, Sun Chamber access. Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely had scanned them, like, quite a few rooms ago. Oh, yeah. You know, it's like a thing that actually makes me like the Chozo Ruins quite a bit aesthetically. It's something that has to do very specific with the time that this came out and both the platform. The color palettes of this always gave me, like, huge Eternal Darkness vibes. Like, you know how, like, in Eternal Darkness, like, one of the locations you go to is, like, straight up, like, in the Middle East? You know? So, like, there's a lot of, like, beige colors in there. And the fact that this is on the, you know, it's on the same system. Like, that's kind of... And also the fact that both games came out in 2002, that's kind of where my mind is with a lot of it. There's a very specific feel to, like, early GameCube games. You know, that, like, differs slightly from later GameCube games, but it still has a very nice, polished look to it all the same. It's very nice. No, come on, just let me have my... There. Oh yeah, I also need to scan the tentacles, because they also count as their own separate thing. Ah, right. Oh, shit. Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted, just to kind of get him dazed a bit. Because that's the way they challenge you with this fight, so that you can't just take your time of flipping away the sun mirrors. What I want to know about this fight is what asshole is running the radar dishes. It's like... I don't know, I feel like they're left with, like, an auto mechanism to try and, like, flip back down or something. I don't know. It's probably the boss somehow. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how, like, a giant monster plant can, like... Or actually, maybe with vines, it probably is manipulating those kind of gears in the background. Who knows? Come on. There we go. Yep, this is a lot easier to do. Nice. And then we just gotta do this one more time, because of course there are 4 sun mirrors. Yep, just side hop. Yeah. I'm fine wasting this many missiles. We're already near the end anyway. And I like that detail. When you're already a morph ball and he collapses over, the impact just makes you do a little bounce. That's nice. That's attention to detail that makes you appreciate the Prime games. That makes you know that Retro Studios care a lot about their craft. And there we go. We've cleared the poison. No terrible, tedious spirits hiding here. No, sir. Not for a while. God, those spirits. I do think if that's one thing I can critique them for is that I totally don't mind, like, the fact that they give you tools later on to make the fight go a lot easier, but I do feel like they make you fight them the non-optimal way one too many times. Like, I feel they could have been spaced out a lot better so that, like, more than half of them, you fight them with the X-ray visor on hand so that you can actually keep track of them. And here we are. We got our big shoulder pads back, just the way we like them. So now our suit actually makes it look like our shoulders are not so painfully broad to the point that, like, our anatomy looks slightly wrong. It looks more natural. Seriously, that's like the one detail that always sticks with me every time I've seen it get pointed out. Just how the anatomy of Samus, it does not look 100% human when you get to, like, the shoulder line. Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's just the health values on top of the issues with tracking them is just a bit too much. Yeah, and for the amount of times you fight them, it's just, it would be nice if they just toned down the amount of encounters a bit. There we go. Now, I think we got another thing that we can scan coming up. Oh, wait! We got a new energy type. Yeah, we got, I think it's called Ultra Energy. Yeah, that's definitely what we need after that fight. Ah, delicious. That's good. They knew what they were doing. Oh, yeah, here we are, Pulse Bombs. Pulse Bombu, rather. Okay, so what time are we at? Oh, yeah, I've been at this for almost 2 hours now. That's pretty solid, like beating Flagra within that period of time. That's not bad. Oh, impact. There. That should take care of the hives. Nice. But yeah, I still got it in me to do a bit more. At the very least, able to, like, get through through a good portion of Magmoor Caverns. Might be a long shot whether we get to Phendrana Drifts before the end of this stream, but we'll try. Phendrana Drifts is so good. I think I can at least say clearly off the top of my head what the absolute best areas of each of these 3 games are. Metroid Prime 1, it's Phendrana Drifts. 2 is Sky Sanctuary, Sanctuary Fortress rather, / Inghive. And then 3 is Skytown. Those are the best in the entire trilogy. The best ones of each individual game. Ah, yeah, that's right, Cordites. That's super missile material. We're not going down that elevator yet. We got a couple things that we can pick up around here. Pretty sure. Yep. Gotta make our way to the vault. All right. More lore. The beginning. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because, like, these specific Chozo are, these are the most spiritual Luddite type of Chozo. The ones that are like, yeah, we got all this wonderful advanced technology. We're going to leave it all behind to live with nature. Bunch of bird hippies. Yeah, whatever. In all seriousness, it is still tragic when you go through all the lore and backstory of this game and realize just the demise that that the Chozo went through as this world just got overrun with Phazon. All right, now for the bomb jumping puzzle. A puzzle that I very distinctly remember when I played this in the Prime Trilogy version, how trivialized it was. Because on top of the lock-on free aim being in Prime 1 and 2 on the Trilogy, they also added the ability to just do Spring Ball, like you could in Prime 3. Which was like, I think that was actually the more egregious situation I remember, in which just backporting Prime 3's controls and mechanics to the older games kind of broke things, you know? Like, I don't think the Wii Remote aiming broke it nearly as much. It definitely made it more intuitive and the same level of accessibility. But yeah, you clearly know, just like, they did not have it in mind to include the spring ball in Prime 1 and 2. Like, if you want to be able to get any verticality with this thing, you actually have to, like, be good at bomb jumping to make it happen. Alright, so we're in Plaza Access. Pretty sure on the other side of this is an energy tank. Yep. There we go. 399 points of health. Wait, hold on. I still need to go down because I think there's something in... Yeah, Ruined Nursery. Yes, that's right, because there's still a couple things we can get back there now that we have Morph Ball and bombs. So yeah, still a bit of a detour, but we'll make our way to Magmore pretty soon. Yep, yeah, I know. You're telling me all this. Okay, so we're back here. Oh, It didn't shoot all of them down. Oh, well. Okay, so we're in the ruined nursery. There should be a hole. Yeah. I believe it's in here. Yep. And then... Wait, hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, that's right. There is just the one. Hold on, my mistake. I completely forgot about, like, the missile that we could have gotten a couple rooms back. Oh, hey, Wrath. Cool to see you again. We just killed the big plant monster. We're just getting a couple missile tanks before we head down to Magmore. And then gonna see how far I can get in there, hopefully the Phendrana Drifts, before I call it a night. Oh yeah, that's right. Gotta do this first. Okay, there's no additional blocks I think I need to break. Got it. Alright. Alright. Oof. Oh my god. Thought I was holding completely right, but no, I guess it was just nudged a bit down. Just fell right out of the path. There we go. Now we go back to where the Hive Totem was, because that is a Morph Ball tunnel that will lead us back to the elevator, which we need to take to Magmore. Yeah, because it all loops together beautifully. Well, mostly. I think a lot of it looping together beautifully mostly pertains to anything directly within the Chozo Ruins itself, and like the places it branches out to. Obviously, some of those are a bit more isolated. Like, I remember, like, kind of looking back at maps of Prime 1 again, and being reminded that, oh yeah, the only way you really access Phendrana Drifts is through Magmore Caverns. Which, again, it's not that surprising. I mean, like, this game, that's just kind of how it is for navigation in a game like this where you don't have warp rooms, you know? Super Metroid certainly didn't have warp rooms. It didn't need them. Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like, it makes enough sense considering that, like, I mean, the Prime games are the ones that, like, actually carried on the idea of the spider ball outside of Metroid 2. That's kind of a big deal. But yeah, and I can totally see why, because it's like, you do move somewhat faster as the Morph Ball. So, like, that does contribute a lot to, like, being an interesting way of moving around instead of just first person. But at the same time, it's like, the idea of first person for Metroid is another idea that is absolutely attributed to Miyamoto because, like, you know, I recall, like, of all of Retro's old projects that they were prototyping, like, the unnamed first-person action game that they were prototyping was the one that stuck with him. Because I think it's like, I remember, like, anecdotes somewhere where it's like, I think it described it as like, Miyamoto is one of the, if not the only person in Japan, okay, maybe not the only person, but definitely one of the few developers in Japan that actually saw the value of the first-person perspective for games and actually wanted to push that. I can totally see why, you know? It creates a very specific feel for games that doesn't have to be just where first person doesn't just have to be limited to like Twitch PC shooters. Here we go. Magmore Caverns. Yeah, it gives me PC Master Race vibes. Yeah, you'd be surprised by that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, because like a lot of the 3D Zeldas, you go into first person when you're aiming stuff like the bow. Tried to make his own XCOM. Yeah, it's like, okay, by tried to make his own XCOM, it's like, are you still referring to that Rabbids Mario game, or are you somehow referring to Steambot Chronicle? No, Codename Steam, right, Codename Steam, yeah. I was confusing another game that had Steam in it, and I realized it was completely different. I was like, wait, no, not Steambot Chronicles, what the hell? Yeah, Steam is in the name. That's true. Miyamoto secretly a simp for Gaben confirmed. I don't know. I just realized that uttering those words in that sentence had a certain cursed quality to me, but I digress. There's the Grisby. Miyamoto Westaboot confirmed. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, of all his weird ideas, that's not really, like, the worst one he could have. I honestly wish he could have more of that instead of, like, weird shit like what he did with, like, enforcing the controls for Star Fox Zero. Or turning Dinosaur Planet into a Star Fox game for no reason. Yeah, that's kind of true. It's just... That's what happens. You get old, you're set in your ways, and it becomes kind of stagnating for everyone else in a creative field. Oh well. At least now he's more focused on just like that Nintendo theme park and just being completely okay with whatever Illumination is going to be doing with that CG Mario film. Yeah, and Chris Pratt. Yeah. Oh man. I'll be honest though. I've not looked up any details about that movie. All I really know is the stuff that everyone lost their minds about when they announced, like, the casting. And even then, because I've not looked it up myself, I still don't know if all the casting outside of Chris Pratt as Mario is actually true. If what I'm seeing is either real or someone is just bullshitting. Yeah, Prey has a cool start. Yep. That's what happens when you play Prey on Nightmare. You thought this was you going up against the hybrid in System Shock 2? What are you, nuts? Are you an idiot? But yeah, you can see what I mean when I was talking about, like, you play Prey on Nightmare. You gotta learn to make more of your mechanics that go beyond just your abilities as like a player with your weapons. Ah, yes. For sure. And I hope you do, like, get a good kick out of the ways that you can explore some things. At the very least, I do also recommend with Prey that, like, once you get a first playthrough out of the way, like, obviously experiment and, like, discover as much as you can for yourself, but do not hold back after your first playthrough from just looking at what other people have done and realize all the weird systemic things that you can do with the mechanics, and realize, oh wait, you could do that? Yeah. I'm glad you're digging it. I'm glad it's been leaving a good first impression, and hopefully it will continue to leave a positive impression up through the end. Okay, we're in the lava lake. Anyway, enjoy yet another rendition of the Metroid lava theme. Because at this point, it is clearly extended beyond just being the theme of Norfair, and that like a good number of games in this series will just use it anytime you're in an area that's hot. Okay, Triclops scanned. Oh man. There we go. Just gotta get... Oh, damn it. Oh, come on. I am doing a bad job of dealing with these Triclops. Where are you? Come on. There we go. Yeah, I'll just go this way. Alright, now we're in the pit. Gotta find the storage cavern, which will have another missile. Yeah, look at that fog and condensation on our visor. You love to see it. You know what you also love to see in Metroid Prime? That. The brief flash of Samus's eyes reflected in her visor. Again, God bless this game's attention to detail. It is so good. Okay. Alright. Time for more of these. I hope the Prime series art designers are back for Prime 4. Yeah. I mean, like, if it's not those specific guys, then hopefully whoever they have as, like, the art designers do a very good job of carrying on that style. Because at the very least, it's like even with the specific people that have left in years past, I do not see any reason to think that like that Retro still doesn't understand like what's at stake and the quality they need to uphold. There we go. All right. Just that little bit out of the way. There we go. We're at the storage cavern. Yeah, actually, I think looking at it, we totally will get to see a bit of Phendrana Drifts before the end of tonight's stream. There's not that many more rooms that I recall that we need to go through in Norfair before we end. Not Norfair. God damn it. See, that's the problem with them just using like a new version of that music. I keep interchanging like Norfair and Magmore. Yeah, get the Phendrana and groove to the track. Absolutely. It is Norfair. And yeah, and speaking of Phendrana, Wrath, I believe you were still out like getting food or whatever, like when I brought it up. But I was basically breaking down what I felt were like the absolute three, like the absolute best areas of each Metroid Prime game. And I want to like double check if you agree with me on this. Best area of Prime 1 is Phendrana Drifts. Best area of Prime 2 is Sanctuary Fortress / Ing Hive because Light World, Dark World basically count the same. And best in Prime 3 is Skytown. Would you agree that that is the most accurate and objectively correct assessment? I'd say sure. Yeah, okay. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. Prime 3 has still got a whole lot of really good stuff. It's just, I think Skytown stands out a lot just because it is the sort of thing where, like, it's this aerial, like, town above like turbulent storm clouds, and you're able to see so far, like way farther in the distance than any other location in the previous games. Like even more than Sanctuary. Prime 3 has the best gimmick. Yeah, it has gimmicks that work. That's the best part about it. The Acid Rain, yeah, the pirate homeworld. That's right, and that's I actually like that because the yeah, Skyplace has the best gimmick. Okay, that's what you meant. But yeah, the Acid Rain on the pirate homeworld was like, that was good, and I appreciated how that's like they brought back another familiar situation of this is a hazardous area that you can only fully explore until you get the proper item, but it was at least a more interesting take on it compared to just going into a room that is super hot. And it was at least something that you could... I liked how it was the sort of thing where, like, it's not just an entire room. It's only sections of a room where the sky is not being covered. That's the part that, like, really made it fun. Just to kind of navigate around. Because you knew that if you looked at it, you was like... You didn't need to get hit by the acid rain in order to make progress. You just stuck to the areas that were, like, properly sheltered. Ow, goddammit. Improper jump timing. Rudon, yeah. Oh. Or Rudon. No, I don't think it was Rudon. It was Rundus. Yeah, okay, I remembered, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was like, I was... God damn it, why do I keep jumping into these jets? What is wrong with me? Yeah, it's weird. Like, you were bringing it up. I briefly forgot, like, what the name of the other hunters were in that game, but then I remembered, oh yeah, it's Rundus, Gore, and Gondreda. Those were the three. All three fairly goofy in designs, yet somehow slightly better than all 6 of the other hunters in Metroid Prime Hunters. Even though I kind of thought that, like, 12-year-old me at the time thought they were cool. They still kind of fit within the core visual design of the Prime series. Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's the... I don't know, I think just in my mind, I just remember back in the day, it was like, because Hunters came out on DS, like, literally just, like, a year before, and had the same concept of, like, there are other Hunters besides Samus. It did stick in my head as being, like, a direct continuation of that. And I know that Hunters has is certainly divisive. You know, its faults I do not blame people for criticizing it for, obviously. But it was technically impressive for what it was, I think. And I at the very least recall not having wrist pains trying to, like, play that game the same way I did with Kid Icarus Uprising, even though that is essentially the same type of, like, control method. Yeah, it's the weakest game, but it's still kind of interesting, you know? I appreciated the idea of, like, that was, like, where they first explored the idea of having other hunters that were somewhat comparable to Samus, both in terms of, like, reputation and skill set. You know? It didn't fully work, but I am somewhat curious about going back to it again, which is, like, obviously I do not have a DS copy nor a DS to play it on because I'm kind of over playing games on handhelds. And so I'm not going to make any promises of doing it on stream, but I am going to look at what my options are for, like, playing that game in emulation and to see, like, if there are any, like, hacks to kind of make it more easy to use with, like, a mouse and keyboard. Because I know using the touchscreen, like, for that game was kind of like it. But, yeah, it's the sort of thing where, like, obviously, like, using the touchscreen doesn't map 101 to 1 with, like, just using, like a regular mouse. So I'd be curious to see how that would look in like any of the DS emulators, especially if you could like upscale the internal resolution, which I'm pretty sure you can do. It was just a matter of like, I remember seeing a screenshot someone posted of, yeah, they took Prime Hunters and just upscaled the ever-loving shit out of the internal resolution, and it just looks like a Quake 1 mod, which I think might be the most endearing way to describe Hunters. Oh wait, this was not the right way to go, actually. Yeah, completely lost track of like which direction I was going in. Realized, oh wait, after I got that missile tank, I was supposed to head back to like the main monitor station. Okay. Alright, back we go. There we go. Heal up as best I can. Keep moving forward. There. Ah, look at this tunnel. Look at this tunnel that is clearly designed with the intent of, hey, we remember that power bomb moment in Meridia in Super Metroid. Do that again. Except later, obviously, once you have power bombs proper. All right. Now we just need to make our way up to the top. There. Not letting him continue to take pot shots at me. Foreign technology present. Yep, of course. It's they give it to me right when I'm 2 rooms away. All right, but that's fine. The moment we've been waiting for this entire stream is about to come to us. Actually, hold on, I forget. Was there? Right, yeah, because I need to bomb jump up here first. Yeah, all right, and again. Ugh. Nice. And a free refill. I will say, I think no Metroid, there's no other Metroid game I can think of where I have the bomb jump pattern down to a T as much as I do in Prime. Like, the timing in all the Prime games is never gonna leave me. Whereas in all the 2D games, it's like, they always change it up just enough that it never works the same way, and I feel like it screws me up, that I never bother. Yeah, Super, I'm inconsistent with it on. I had better luck with it in Zero Mission just because a lot of people know how extremely potent bomb jumping is in Zero Mission for sequence breaking. Okay, and here we are. An area that, at the time, in the history of, like, Metroid, is like we've gone through areas in Prime 1 up to this point that are like, you can see clear parallels to areas in previous games. You know, Chozo Ruins is like a more arid Bryn Star. Magmore is clearly Norfair. But this, you get introduced to this, and you're like, I've never been here in a Metroid game. Like, for 2002. I mean, obviously Fusion came out the same day, and that had the Arctic sector. But like, obviously, but I'm pretty sure, like, actually, I can't speak for sure on that just because I was young at the time and I was not like, well, like, I was not here for Prime Day 1. But it's like, I feel like all eyes were on Prime just because it was like, it was Metroid in 3D, and it was like, how are they going to make it work? And it's like, not only do they make it work, but they bring you to, like, a type of biome in the Metroid series you've never been to before. A freaking, like, Arctic zone. It's great. And then music. It just pulls you in. Yes. There are parts later on where I'd say it still is kind of 3D Super, but it's here that it definitely shows, no, we have our own ideas. We know how to, like, make this stand out. Okay. Got the flicker bats and crystallites scanned. For sure. Now I'm also trying to remember. I think there's the save point. Yeah, it's save point in here. All ballistic support personnel report to Hydra. Yeah. Yeah, the new track really helps it a lot. Like, it helps cement its memorable status. It's such an amazing zone. Alright. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I recall Radion, I forget. Okay, yeah, Radion that does missiles take care of that. We need to do this to directly unlock the door above. Then we can proceed. Okay. I think I'll see about doing what needs to be done on this first pass through Phendrana, and then I believe I will, I'll call it quits for the stream. We're definitely at about 2.5 hours in, you know? This is the evening stream time, whereas for Wednesdays and Saturdays, that'll be more in the late morning my time, so I'll have more time and stamina to work with. And I'm gonna... Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm obviously not logging off just yet, that's the thing, but yeah, just a heads up of, like, how soon it'll be till, like, this first session is done. But even then, for this first run-through, it's, like, plenty of progress being made within 3 hours, as you'd expect. Oh wait, that's right, the scatter bombers. I gotta scan those. Okay, but I already said it, so I won't say it again. Fair enough. That makes sense. Okay. Scatter bamboos, baby she-goths. Got those. There we go. Oh, there. Oh, there. Got it. Now to work our way up to the door that takes us to the plaza walkway. This is a nice room. You know, especially with, like, the route that expects you to take, where it's, like, yeah, just, like, do all this navigating through the wreckage, jumping over broken buildings, and, like, whatnot. It's all good. Oh, God. And then screw it up right at the end because you bonk your head on the ceiling. Good job, me. Good job. Okay. Now I gotta be ready to scan, because, come on, there, because I'm pretty sure they only show up in this room, or they show up in other places, but they're like timed enemies that they don't really show up again for a while. There. Ah, yes. Now then. We're back on the shorelines. Now, coming up, I know that, like, another important enemy we gotta make sure we scan in time is the Ice Shriek Bats. Or else we're screwed out of 100% on Logbook. Okay, where? Okay, it's not right out here at out the gate, but yeah. Hopefully, I don't miss the Shriek Bats, like because the ice variants are. I feel like it's very easy to accidentally proc them, and then they just fly into you, and you lose your chance at scanning them. Get some more lore, though. Yeah. Yep, foreshadowing to the artifact key hunts that you're expected to do at the end. Which is totally fine and not at all annoying like the Triforce hunt at the end of Wind Waker. I'm not even saying that sarcastically. That's actually true. I'd rather do these like artifact hunts in the Prime games long term more than like doing the Triforce hunt. I've never had a problem with either. I mean, like I was fine with like the Triforce hunt conceptually. I think there's just parts of it where it's like it could be trimmed down a bit. When it comes to the artifact hunt in the Prime games, I feel like there's not really much you can do to like trim them down, and they're totally fine as is. Okay, am I missing something as far as like a place to jump up onto? Or maybe I just need to go in from another way. Oh yeah, that's fine. Like I'm totally okay with that as a reason. But yeah, I think it's just the case with like it's a lot harder for me to get into that in the case of Wind Waker, just because I think Wind Waker is merely okay when you kind of just break it down beyond just the incredible art style. Yeah. For sure. Okay, seriously, I feel like I'm missing something as far as, like... I thought for sure there was, like, a platform somewhere I needed to get on just to get back up here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's like... I do feel like the Prime 2's version of, like, those hunts was, like, definitely pushing it at times. There was a lot more you had to do in terms of deciphering where you needed to go. I think it was, comparatively. Okay, I'm seriously drawing a blank as far as, like... Because I'm pretty sure I was supposed to... Alright. Okay, you got more errands to do? That's fine. You have a good day then, Wrath. Enjoy the Metroid experience of getting lost. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it be sometimes. Seriously, I swear I remember. I know what it should be, but I just am drawing a fucking blank. Yeah, this is real rough now. I swear, I thought I knew where I needed to go. In, as far as to, like, get to where the shriek bats are, I need to scan. Any excuse for more sail exploration in Wind Waker ended up being more fun, though admittedly the remaster shortened search was a bit less abusive. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, because I need to get up to that hole. How I'm expected to get up there, I still no freaking idea. Like, I'm pretty sure I knew, like, how you get up there. Yeah, this is how the stream defeats me. Is this shit right here. See the one where the one ice crawler was walking, like, you're referring to the one that I saw, like, kind of up at the top. Yeah, like, I feel like this would be, like, a lot less of a problem if I actually had my space jump. Yeah, that's... Yeah, because I saw the, like, one of the crystallites just crawling around, like, up on that ridge. Yeah, like, see? You can see it peeking out over there. Yeah, it's... Or maybe this one. Hell if I know, there's a lot of them kind of crawling around here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, that's the problem, because it's like, I have the, yeah, because the scan order guide that I have on hand to kind of help me keep track says I can, like, get up there to, like, where I need to be to scan the ice shriek bats, but, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. You know, I'm just gonna keep going this way anyway, because this leads to the boost ball, which is what we need to get on this first visit anyway, so I might as well. So yeah, we'll just do this. We'll do this first, and then on the second pass, maybe I'll have better luck figuring it out. There we go. Ah, yes, Boost Ball. One of the things that just makes Morph Ball feel the best in the Prime games. Just being able to give yourself a speed boost. Like, not necessarily a prolonged one like the speed booster in 2D games, but I'd say like it does its job very well in giving a lot of like extra fun to being in the as a Morph Ball. Especially because it just gives you a Tony Hawk half pipes to make use of it. That's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, that's right. There was the lore behind here. Yep, it's real sad. Okay, so now we'll go back where we came. Back to the Ice Ruins West, and we'll double check one last time to see if I can't get up to where I need to in order to like scan the Ice Shriek bats, because the sooner we can get that out of the way, the better it will be for all of us. You know? Every time I replay this, I have to remind myself which side of the half pipe you're supposed to boost on to go up. Yeah. I just kind of make do and like, and just for fun, focus on like boosting as much as I can to see how big air I can get with it, because that's a very fun time. Okay. Double checking coming back from this way. There's nothing to do in here. That's fair. Still nothing. Nothing up there. I still can't hit that big icicle up top from this angle. Yeah, it's weird. Like, am I really just... am I missing something? Is this little, like, terse walkthrough I have, like, just wrong? You know what? Actually, I'll save that for another time. Because I think it's been long enough. We already know where we need to go, and it's no longer going to be here in Phendrana. We gotta go back to some earlier places where we can clearly use the boost ball. Look at that. Oh, man. Okay, I was about to say, look at that non-animating shadow, but then I realized that, like, it did start to move a little bit when Ridley was starting to flap its wings. Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. We got the save point here, might as well make use of it. Ah, what a great game still. God, I still love it. And it's still going to be a lot of fun going through it, like, for the next couple of streams. Even with it going at a slightly slower speed, since I'm, you know, taking the time to talk and whatnot. Can't see it, I can't possibly see it, like, taking more than maybe, I don't know, like, around 12 hours average just to get through for 100%. Or maybe more, I'm not sure. Definitely, like, within a 10 to 15 hour range. But it should be fine. Yeah, thanks for everyone that joined for this first section of streaming Metroid Prime. I was definitely looking forward to it, and I'm glad the people that cared came to see it, because it's Metroid Prime, why wouldn't you? So, have a good night, everyone. Take care.